Hello, welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK. A company called Byling have sent me a solar powered pond pump with a filter included. It's in this box. It's perfect timing for me because I've intended to make a miniature water feature out of this big steel urn in my gravel garden. I've got a bucket of water here and it's a beautiful sunny day. So in this video, I'm going to open the box, see what's inside, have a bit of a play with that product on this table for you to show you how it works, and then we're going to go over to my gravel garden and do a sunken miniature water feature. Now Byling do a whole range of solar powered garden equipment, and of course I will be putting a link to Byling in the description box below this video, so if you like what you see, please do check it out. They've supported me, so let's see if we can support them. Right, so without further ado, let's get inside this box and have a play with this solar powered pond pump with a filter attached. I'm always curious as to how powerful these will be, and this is a tiny little box, so let's see what we've got. Right, so let's carefully extract the contents of this box. I've already laid some pond liner on here because I'm going to get wet in a moment, and I've got a little plant tray. I always think it's a good idea to have something like this to hand to put out the little bits and bobs to stop you losing them. Right, there's two bags here. We'll open those in a moment. A spike and a bracket, a plastic tube. Obviously this is the solar panel. Two bits of protective material, we'll place those underneath there. We have some instructions, always good to see. I'll place them under there, and of course here we have the pump. Now this is supposed to have a filter inside which keeps the water cleaner for longer, so I'm now going to take this open and have a look inside here. So just to give you an idea of scale, because I know it's difficult to see how big things are on camera, I've got a tape measure here, and I can tell you that that is 7 inches or 17 centimeters by 15 centimeters or 6 inches, so it's quite a small compact unit. And of course Byling will have a range of different shapes and sizes of these pumps. This is perfect for me because I want to do a small water feature which I could effectively place anywhere in my garden, even where there is no electricity, simply because it uses solar power. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is open this up and see what's in there and see how that makes a filter to keep the water cleaner for longer. And at this stage I will introduce a second tray so that we don't lose any of the bits that may well be inside here. So let's open this up using these little clamps and lift the lid off. Right, we have a piece of foam which sits in the top. Clearly the water falls down through there and then is pumped back up. So there's a first element of the filter. And there's the pump, and that's a dinky little pump, isn't it? Tiny little thing there. And that is clearly going to be attached to the solar panel there. And in here we have several little black plastic balls and an array of little tiny, what feels like porcelain balls. I'm going to read the instructions in a minute and I'll be able to tell you what this is all about. But that is clearly the filtration unit for the pump. Right, so it is now time to read the instructions. I'll see you in a moment. Really self-explanatory. Actually, you probably really don't need these instructions. It does exactly what it says on the tin, but I can tell you that those little plastic things are called biofilter balls, and these are filter ceramic rings, and it says here, ceramic filter rings and bioballs promote the growth of nitrifying bacteria and help decompose organic waste. and better filter impurities. So that's what that's all about, and the pump sits inside of there. Right, the other thing that I've learned is you do get lots of different spray and fountain nozzle variations to choose from, and we're going to have a little play in this bucket with those in a minute before we go and install a miniature water feature in the gravel garden. It does tell you how to clean and maintain the pump. It talks about troubleshooting, and there's a customer service email address. Right, I'm dying to play with this, so let's get splashing in this bucket of water and make a bit of mess. One thing I learned there was line up the pump outlet pipe with the lid hole before you put the filter medium back inside. It's much easier that way. Also, you get a bracket with a spike, and this bracket has screw holes so you can attach it to a wall, and they even provide roll plugs and screws. And now we also have lots of different spray attachments. I'm going to attach it to the solar panel, get it in this water, and see just how powerful it really is. I've attached the solar panel to the spike, and I'm just going to push it into a plant pot with some gravelly soil in it. Right, and there's one end of the cable, and here is the other end of the cable. Let's see how long this cable is when we wring it out. I'm going to say that's 2 meters. Let's submerge the pump into the water. Now, in the instructions it does say that the nozzle needs to be out of the water for it to work effectively. I think that's pretty obvious, but it's good of them to mention it. So I probably need to put a brick in the bottom of this bucket so that we get the full effect. And now, the moment of truth. Let's plug it in, see what happens. Ooh. Now that is pretty. I'm very pleased. Now you can imagine what that's going to look like when it's in this steel planter, and that's going to be the next job. But I do want to play around with some of these nozzles first, just to give you an idea of the sort of effects that you can get. Pretty standard fountain there. Let's change that out for a different one. Another fountain, slightly wider but shorter. Higher and wider, more of a cascade type fountain. Like a bubbling fountain, that's wonderful. Yes, that's more like it, can you see? So we have a nice little range of different types of attachment, and actually what you can also do is you can separate the main pipe and put one in the middle, so you can have two. I'm not going to do that. I think the one I want more than anything really is just a simple bubble like that. So now, just to give you an idea, it's not going to be in the bucket because this is waterproof, but that inside there, higher up, is going to be, I think, quite an attractive and effective little water feature in my gravel garden. I want to change my clothes now and go and do the water feature. I found this steel urn buried in my garden. I have no idea what the original use was. It's got a rounded bottom. Perhaps it was for making jam, perhaps it was doing washing in, I don't know. If you do know, let me know in the comments below this video. So I want to make a water feature with this. I want it to be sunken into this gravel. And whilst I have got several fountain options, what I want is a little bubbling effect. I want to hide the pond pump with some pebbles or some stones. And I also need to do something to hide the cable, which will be coming over the edge of the pot like this. I will also need to do something to protect wildlife, because I don't want wildlife falling in and not being able to get out. So those are the issues I want to address. But the first thing I really need to do is move the gravel to one side and dig a hole so that becomes sunken. So I'll dig that hole now. I'll do that in fast forward. I'll see you in about 10 seconds time. So there's the pot already sunken, and I'm already delighted with the effect I'm getting here. I'm just going to check the level, because when it's full of water or nearly full of water, the water surface will make it really obvious if it's not level, and I don't want to do that because my OCD will kick in. Right, so let's just make sure that that is nice and level in several different directions. Just making some adjustments by hand. That is now perfectly level, and I'm just going to agitate the gravel here so that it goes in around the edge and fills the gap, so that will make it slightly more secure. Now that pond pump has to be underneath the water, and the spouts has to be outside of the water surface, above the water. So I need to find a level where it's going to be. Ideally, I want the water surface to be about the same level as the ground level just outside, so it kind of continues the same plane, if you like. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put some bricks in the bottom just to lift up the water pump to the level which I think is going to be about right. So you can see here I'm keeping it central, which is where I want the bubble to be, but I need it to be lifted up slightly. So let's go up another brick like that, and that is going to be about right when that starts to bubble like a cauldron. And I only want that bit really emerging from the surface. Keep the wire on this side because that's where the wire direction is, in that direction over to the solar panel. Now the next thing I need to do is fill this space with some cobbles and some boulders. Now whenever I am digging in the garden, I always find boulders or pebbles, and I collect them, and that's exactly what's in this bucket here, a bucket full of natural looking boulders or pebbles. I'm going to give them a good wash now for two reasons. I want the water to start off clean, so I'm going to wash all the dirt off, but also these pebbles will be wet when they get put into that water feature, so I want to keep the ones that are most attractive for the top where they'll be seen. So let's give these a good soak and a good wash. The first thing I'm going to do is fill up this volume around the base with some big ugly old lumps of concrete which I had in the garden. There's not much point wasting attractive looking stones in the bottom here, so we'll just take up that bit of volume with some old bits of ugly concrete, and then we can start adding nice looking pebbles on the top. And of course, all the time that I'm doing this, I'm mindful of the fact that I do need a nice flat surface to sit that on. And now I can start putting in the more natural looking boulders, protecting the wire at all times. I don't want to damage that wire, so I'll look after that. What I will now build up some rather attractive looking large boulders around the edge here, and I'm going to keep the smaller ones for on top so that we can keep it nice and shallow with smaller pebbles here. And I'm very, very pleased with that. I can't wait to get this filled up with water, and I still need to find a way of hiding the wire, but what I can do is put the solar panel discreetly at the back of that plant there where we won't see it, and I can bury this wire into the gravel. It's just this little tiny bit here that I want to hide, just for aesthetics more than anything else. I'm going to come up with an idea for that whilst it's filling up with water. Then we're going to plug it in. So I have come up with a solution to hide this tiny piece of wire here and went down to my wildlife pond, and I've just pulled out a little bit of pond plant. Now this is beautiful in yellow, and there's an aloe striatula right there which is yellow, so the two should pick each other up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug that in behind this pebble at the back there, and it perfectly hides the wire, which is now completely hidden very discreetly, and it adds a little bit of colour. Right, the next thing I need to do is turn it on. That just involves plugging it in to the solar panel. Right, do you want to see that? Let me bring the camera closer and I'll go and plug it in. So there it is working, and I'm very, very happy with that. And that's the bubbling effect that I wanted, and it may not be what you want, so I'm just going to demonstrate now some of the different effects you can get with some of these different tops. So let's just take that one off, and you can see already by removing that one, which was dispersing the power, it's even more of a bubble. You also get different attachments. So I'm now going to put a fountain in, and they will get wet when I do this. And there is a fountain, and you get several different fountains. I shall swap them out. You just take the disc off and offer up a different one. Now the problem with the fountain is the water will blow out and I'll have to top it up, but if you're using it for a different application, that might not be a problem. Here's another one, and of course there is also this one, which I quite like, which gives a kind of a film. So there you go, my solar powered pebble pool provided by Byling. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you like this. I think it's a really nice feature. Byling have supported me, so please do me a favour, have a look at their links in the description box below this video, and I'll see you soon for some more Byling water feature adventures. Bye for now.